What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackmine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, a crazy trade in the AFC North today, but they are not the only team that may land a veteran. And by they, I mean the Cincinnati Bengals. We're diving into Odell Beckham's pitch to the Pittsburgh Steelers to join the black and gold. Meanwhile, Joe Flacco heads to Cincinnati. The Pittsburgh Steelers make a surprising roster move in the meantime. And it's Tuesday, which means Overreaction Tuesday, and I've got a good one coming your way, my friend. Before we get kicking, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button as we try to make our way to 100,000 subscribers. Slowly but surely, our journey begins. It's a rainy one here in the Berg. Needed it, cooled it down. It feels like fall. I'm kind of loving it a little bit. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good. I don't know if you noticed what I was doing there a second ago, but that's us climbing our way to the top there to get up to 100,000 subscribers. And that's me just going one rung at a time. But I'm doing all right. I am so affected by weather, like my allergies get awful as soon as the rain comes, and like all of the allergens get released from the ground. I become this stuffier version of myself. Like, yes, I was the kid in grade school who always had that like stuffy nose, allergies. It's a tough one. We weather through. Michael Jordan's flu games coming around every now and then, but we push on. So I'm doing all right, buddy. I'm doing all right.
I think it's so hilarious. I love you. First of all, let's preference this by saying I love you.
Oh, bring it on.
But when it's 75 degrees, you're like, dude, it needs to cool down. It's got to cool down. And when it's raining, you're like, I'm dying. That perfect middle ground, 65. I don't think you could find it anywhere in the whole world. No. But that place that does, you need to go there, and you need to enjoy it. You need to enjoy it every single day. Look at allergies stink. I got some Claritin at all time. I own 3 cats. You know what I mean? My house is pretty much a Walmart of Claritin. So you need it. You let me know. I got you.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. We'll start with the AFC North trade that happened today. Joe Flacco heads to the Cincinnati Bengals from the Cleveland Browns, a move that, I mean, surprising, almost completes the cycle. What's your reaction to it? I'll ask you about Pittsburgh here in a second, but first I just want to preference it with what you thought as you saw the news pop up on your phone and everybody else's earlier this afternoon.
Would I be embarrassed to admit that I got a little bit worried about that Thursday night matchup? Like, is that one other Flacco moment, that veteran, my reaction was, I'm not worried. I wasn't worried about the possibility of, facing him as a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah.
The prospect of him just having one more magical game, that Thursday night matchup for the Cincinnati Bengals, the idea looms large in my head right now. And so I think my initial reaction is like, is that like the sort of trap game momentum killer that could sort of trip up the Pittsburgh Steelers in a couple of weeks, or, really like 10 days? But that's my initial reaction. Is there a way for me to build optimism, build out of that with optimism? Can I escape that thought with some optimism? Or do you have anything that can kind of pull me out of that sort of road I'm going down right now?
Yeah, the Steelers are historic, and I had the same thought. I think a lot of people did. They went, you got to be kidding me, dude. This is just setting up the nonsense that is the Pittsburgh Steelers trap game. That's what this is doing. It's no fun. You know what I mean? Everybody collectively was just like, big middle finger to Joe Flacco on this one. The Steelers are historically very good in Cincinnati. They tend to win there quite a bit. I think that plays a role into this one. This isn't Cleveland where you're going to the dog pound. The Steelers are 50-50 shot. They're going to win that game anyways. And now you got a little bit of veteran magic. You're going to get the spark. You're going to get the Joe Flacco spark. You're going to have to beat the Joe Flacco spark. I'm not totally sold that the Cincinnati Bengals aren't a complete dumpster fire. You know what I mean? Like there's like the Joe Flacco spark is great and exciting and exhilarating. But the last time the Joe Flacco spark happened, he had an elite Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and one crazy defense behind him. Now he's got Trey Hendrickson and a bunch of dudes nobody knows. You know, it's not, and don't get me wrong, they might put up 60 points, but their defense would allow 45 points to my high school team. And Aaron Rodgers and company, I think sets you up to be a little bit different. So I'm not over the moon, like worried about playing a Joe Flacco. Obviously a much more challenging opponent than Jake Browning. Like obviously.
Agreed.
What are the crazy odds that he somehow finds his way to Pittsburgh to complete this cycle at some point in his career? I think they signed him to a 1-year deal to retire. I think that's what they should do.
I think just for S&Gs more than anything else, if Joe Flacco is not going to play beyond, the 2025 season, they should sign him to like a 1-day contract, as soon as the new 2026 year opens for transactions. But if he's going to play and be a backup, depending on what Aaron Rodgers is doing realistically beyond this year, if they need just like an extra, third quarterback or something like that, why not bring Joe Flacco? And he can play in one game a year at this point, and it seems like he wants to maybe keep collecting those yearly paychecks until the wheels fall completely off. So why not?
By that he means he dies.
Oh yeah. I mean it like Oregon Trail stuff, like the wheels. So I think Joe Flacco should, in my opinion, not only should he complete the AFC North cycle, he should try to play for every single NFL franchise.
I think that would be awesome. The next Ryan Fitzpatrick that we didn't see coming would be a blast. We'll get into Shedeur Sanders a little bit later for sure, because I got something for you. Don't worry about it. Let's talk the other news and notes of today. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed a practice squad running back that we talked about the other day. They also released Juwan Bentley, inside linebacker, former New England Patriot, a guy that we anticipated would make his way onto the active roster relatively soon. It didn't happen. Now his contract's terminated. He's a free agent once again. The Pittsburgh Steelers seem to say, we're good. Maybe it means Malik Harrison is on his way back. Maybe it means that they are comfortable with the guys that they have. Maybe it means that Carson Bruner is impressing enough to say, okay, let's just keep our group and we'll figure it out. Maybe it was Peyton Wilson's 22-mile-per-hour speed to run down Jordan Addison. Who knows? What I do know is that Juwan Bentley, a guy that we anticipated would be part of this defense by the end of the season, is now gone. What was your thoughts when you saw the news on Bentley? How surprised were you? Because, I mean, me, you, our buddy Jack Markowski are all in a group chat together, and the reaction was across the board just, whoa, did not see that coming at all. Bit of a shocker this afternoon.
Bit of a shocker for sure. 2 for 2 on, being a little surprised today for me. Like I absolutely envision Juwan Bentley being a piece of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Yes,
at some point, not a crucial piece, but with all of the lackluster start that the middle linebacker position as a group sort of got off to, it was very easy to see Juwan Bentley, forcing his way into the picture. But after what they did against the Vikings, and I think really it's a statement of belief in a player like Peyton Wilson having those rebounding games or being able to sort of turn things around from getting off to a rocky start. And I think it's certainly another vote of confidence in, how strong of a game Patrick Queen is playing right now and the level that he's bringing to the field right now. And so I think the other key thing that you mentioned there is Malik Harrison is probably getting close to coming back. And I think they really like what they have in him and his sort of versatility to play the inside and possibly fill in on the outside when called upon. And so I think that, could be a signs pointing towards another step of health, another clean bill of health coming soon for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So a surprising move for sure, but yes. I take it more as a vote of confidence in the group and the players that they have, on the roster right now than anything that Juwan Bentley probably was or wasn't doing.
I agree. I think Malik Harrison's on his way back. I think Cole Holcomb has impressed. I think the Steelers look at it and say, our group's here. This guy, and it probably went both ways. It was a 50-50 split on the decision. Bentley was probably like, look, guys, if you're never going to activate me, let me go somewhere else. I would love an opportunity to play football this season. I'm a starter in the NFL. At bare minimum, I'm a quality backup. I'm not a practice squad guy. I very much so outweigh this. How nobody signed him off the practice squad is surprising, but also at the same time, he probably was getting close to the point of somebody's going to sign me, and I don't really want a team. I'd rather decide where I'm going in the next couple of weeks, and I think that's what's going to happen here, but I do anticipate Malik Harrison making his way back in the next week or two. That's just a pure guess. This is not a report. I haven't been told anything. It's just a pure guess that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to look at their inside linebacker room and potentially add to it in Malik Harrison, which I think is definitely a boost in their running game and in their special teams, both great places where Malik Harrison shines. Let's talk Odell Beckham Jr. That's why we're here. Everybody else is here. It's a good one for sure. He was on the Pivot podcast the other day, and he said this, talking about where he's going to play football next. Quote, I don't know if this is a pitch. I'm just like, I look at the LA Rams. I look at the Steelers. I know it was Calvin Austin the third, right? He kind of just, something was happening. The Chiefs. And you definitely got to see me back in the blue, in that blue thing before I get out of here. It's my creed to those fans. Odell Beckham Jr. wants to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, along with the Chiefs. The Giants, I think, significantly less. That's like a, at some point, I just got to hang it up and admit that I'll go wherever I got to go. The Chiefs, LA, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Odell makes his pitch there. Here's my testament to the whole situation. Odell can pitch it all he wants. None of it matters. What does matter is if the Steelers in 4 or 5 days realize that they desperately need a wide receiver, because that's what's going to happen. We are going to find out Sunday whether the Steelers are comfortable or not comfortable, because Mike Tomlin could say all he wants that, well, we'll see later in the week if Calvin Austin and Jalen Ramsey are back up. There's no chance either of those guys are practicing this week. None. We said it as he said it. Everybody else said it as he said it. It's just not happening. They're not going to practice. It is going to be a week without Calvin Austin. I expect it to be a couple of weeks without Calvin Austin. And if that's the case, with that being the case, the Steelers are going to find out this Sunday if they need a wide receiver. If they do need a wide receiver, you're either looking at a free agent or you're looking at a trade. And I think that sparks the conversation of how desperate is Odell? How desperate are we? And are we willing to sign somebody for literally nothing? Because that's what he's going to cost to come in here and play football on some degree. I don't look at it. Wouldn't be my top choice. Wouldn't be my top 5 choices. But I don't run the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Odell is making it very known he wants to play some football this season. And the Steelers are a team to watch. Him and Aaron have talked before. They've made it known that they're comfortable playing together. I'm just saying that this Sunday is going to decide if this conversation is real or not. And I have a hard time thinking that Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson are going to convince us that the Steelers don't need a wide receiver at all, and we need to stop having the conversation. So as much as people will hate it, I think right now it's a real serious talk of, well, in 5 days, we're going to find out if Odell's got something or if this is pointless and he's making moves or calling out teams and making pitches for no reason. What's your thoughts on Odell? I don't know if this is a pitch in the Steelers.
Well, if it's an actual pitch, it is one that the Steelers can let go in one ear and go right out the other. No use for that player whatsoever. I hate to pour water on your fire here. But did you see that he also will accept his 6-game suspension?
Yeah, but I believe that I don't think he needs to be on a team. I think that I think it's 6 games. Like, I think he'd only have to miss 6 games. Like, I think it's total.
Sure.
I don't think it's
however,
like, I think it's from the beginning of the season. I don't think it's once he signs to a team. Yeah, I think it's over in a week. I'm pretty sure that his 6-game suspension is done in a week.
So silly, but great. Well, his testosterone was too high, so hopefully he got those levels.
Him and Larry Ogunjobi
levels.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
I do think that in terms of the suspension, from my understanding, and I could be wrong here, but from my understanding, it is the beginning of the season, so he'd have to go 6 games. Maybe that changes because the Steelers had a bye week, but I don't think it does. I think he'd have to go just through week 6, and then he'd be fine. So this week is the end of Odell and that suspension, which the Steelers, even if they sign him today, are not playing him on Sunday. So I think it'd work out fine for this. I don't think they'd have to worry about that.
Okay. I think you're wrong, but
are you looking it up? Is it saying it otherwise?
Yeah. But I didn't have my sources correct until about 4 seconds ago. ESPN's report says the suspension will appear on the NFL's official transaction wire today, which then starts the 6-week clock before Beckham is eligible to play again.
So he's got 6 more weeks.
Yeah,
before he's even eligible to play.
The way ESPN writes this is that this is like just the start of it. This is how it, like him accepting it as per it's framed in the pivot, as if he could do anything else before playing again if the league suspends him. It
changes the whole conversation.
Changes the whole conversation.
The conversation goes from the Steelers have some sort of possibility of considering Odell on Monday to Odell sounds like a lunatic for trying to pitch a team 6 weeks before he's eligible to play at 33 years old, saying, hey, Pittsburgh, Calvin Austin's out for 4 weeks. I'm good in 6 weeks. You should sign me. You should consider this a deal. Steal. I'll take a pay cut. What?
I wonder, of this. I'm reading this ESPN article. There's one quote taken from the entire conversation from the pivot.
Okay.
It is just that his testosterone levels were too high. So I think that's the pitch. Like, you got to wait 6 weeks, but this guy's the Hulk, and because this guy's got testosterone levels that are off the charts. I think that because listen, I genuinely enjoy watching the pivot, like just personally. There's always fun quotes to take, even fun quotes just to take out of context if you're into that sort of thing.
Sure.
But there's just always so much juicy content. There's a 7-sentence quote from this on the suspension on the ESPN article.
He doesn't even bring up they don't even bring up the pitch to the 3 teams who need a wide receiver right now instead of 6 weeks from now, when everything could change. The teams that will need a wide receiver in 6 weeks will most likely not be the 3 teams that he's named right now, except for the Giants, who are still going to need a team. And maybe that's the landing spot. But yeah, maybe it is that maybe the pitch is like, look at dude, I'm just letting you know, bro, I'm teed up right now. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready. I did not inject steroids. However, I've been in the league for 13 years and my testosterone is now higher than it's ever been. But clearly I'm clean. Like it was, and I'll accept it for no reason whatsoever.
That's incredible,
out to Odell, man. Shout out to Odell.
So
that's not gonna happen.
They got to pass on him, I think.
Yeah.
Shout
out to Odell. What a pitch, my friend. I'm so glad that the conversation went from, will they actually sign him? Do you think that there's a consideration to, I can't believe Odell gave the dumbest pitch we've heard all season. Shout out to Odell Beckham, man. Shout out to Odell Beckham Jr. What a time. All right. What a conversation. With that said, it's Tuesday. We just talked to Odell for 9 minutes about a guy who's not going to play for maybe ever again. Is that the end of Odell Beckham? Let's finish it with that. Is that the end of Odell Beckham?
Oh no, he'll play somewhere else again. The New York Giants are dumb enough to sign him. Like,
yeah, it's probably true.
Yeah.
You're probably true on that one. You're probably true on that one. All right. With that said, it's Tuesday. It's Overreaction Tuesday. I got a 4-pack for you. I'm super excited. Let's get into it.
It's a fine line between, drinking wine and squashing grapes, as we say in this business. And sometimes it's very subtle.
Sometimes it is very subtle. You want to know who's the subtlest man alive, the most subtle man alive? I don't care. I'm not good at grammar. I'm a writer. Who cares? It's Mike Tomlin, my friend. The man loves his showmanship. He loves lying to us. We call him out all the time, dude. It's a specialty of Mike Tomlin's. Mike T, a.k.a. 00 lying to the media 7. This week's the same thing. Let's point at a couple of recent examples where Mike Tomlin's hinted that Cole Holcomb's going to play a lot, only for Peyton Wilson to play even more. That Peyton Wilson's going to play a lot, only for Cole Holcomb to play even more. It goes on and on and on and on. All right, this week, Mike T's showmanship was all Pat Freiermuth, baby. It was, well, it's all about who you're lining up in a 4-3 defense. It's all about who the personnel that you got to put out there. You can't put a 250-pound tight end on the field, not named Connor Hayward, against a 4-3 defense. You got to put Darnell out there and Jonnu because that's what you're doing. It's not about anything else. It's about the personnel. That's what he said when talking about good old Pat Freiermuth. Okay. Overreaction or not, call me crazy. Pat Freiermuth's going to outsnap every tight end this week because Mike Tomlin loves playing games, man. And he, at this point, can be read like a book by some of us, including myself. Pat Freiermuth's back, and he's going to outsnap the Steelers.
Buddy, that is not an overreaction at all. And
Let's
here's my one little bit of statistical evidence to sort of possibly back that up.
Give me it.
Jonnu Smith, who, has vastly outsnapped Pat Freiermuth as well this season, his offensive snaps against the Minnesota Vikings were about half of what he usually did the first 3 games. So there is the slightest little bit of credence to that argument that the personnel the offense is facing can dictate the usage of some of their players. That being said, I think the gamesmanship from Mike Tomlin, he has us all fooled right now. I did a whole thing on Pontori's playbook today about how Pat Freiermuth is sort of like disappearing out of the Steelers offense. And I stand by it, but I think him playing 15 snaps is not realistic. So I think for that reason, it's not an overreaction to start it off. It could very much be a 180 against the Browns this weekend.
I see it coming. They love it. They love to do it. Mike Tomlin thinks he's so slick, man. He thinks he's so slick up there, just going, if I say this, everybody's going to believe it, dude. Kevin Stefanski pretty much just changed his entire game plan to say Darnell Washington's playing every snap. That's happening. That's Mike T walked away snickering, going, did you see that? Did you guys see that? How I fooled them all? Yeah, we'll see what happens on Sunday. Number 2 for you. It's TJ Watt versus Myles Garrett week, and we're not really talking about it yet. We will talk about it at some point. At some point, it's going to make the headlines because it's, again, the best 2 edge rushers alongside Micah Parsons in the NFL. And they love battling. Last year, though, it was Myles Garrett who won clear as day against TJ Watt, who had a down year. But TJ's on a tear right now. TJ is doing some crazy things and having crazy games. And Myles Garrett, he's having a good year. The Browns defense is looking pretty good, to be very honest with you. But TJ got paid more than Myles, and we know why he got paid more than Myles. It's not because he was like, oh, I need 40. I just need 41. That's just the number that I somehow came up with. No, you came up with it because it's $1 million more than Myles Garrett. We were all aware of the situation. Well, this is your chance to prove it. Overreaction or not. TJ doubles Myles Garrett's sack total in this game. Not sack total for the season, but if Myles gets 1, TJ gets 2. Myles gets 2, TJ gets 4.
I'm sorry, man. That's an overreaction. I mean, unless they have, I don't think they can come out with 18 personnel, right? Can you just put 12 offensive linemen on Myles Garrett? You could try.
You could.
I think TJ Watt's, steadily finding more and more progress and back on track in terms of being that elite pass rusher that we always know him to be. Myles Garrett going up against Broderick Jones, yikes. I just do not see, even if they give him help, even if they're trying to use heavier sets and to just sort of give a chip or something like that, I think Myles Garrett's going to do some damage. And I think that will happen even as the Steelers, move down the field and score against the Cleveland Browns. Containing Myles Garrett, I think, is a totally different ball game, and the pieces they have on the offensive line are not very well equipped to do so. So I can't agree with you there. So I got to go 1-1 here to start on the overreactions.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, TJ is going to have a game, watch, see, and if I'm wrong, I won't admit it this time. I admit my wrongs. I'm not going to admit this one. Number 3 for you here. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a wide receiver problem, and on Sunday, we're going to find out how bad it is, or if it's not bad at all. But I don't think there's many people sitting around going, I have a lot of confidence in Scotty Miller, Roman Wilson, and Ben Skoranek. It's going to happen. The Steelers have confidence in them, but they've had confidence in Roman Wilson since May, and they have shown literally none of that. It's Mike Tomlin's response to why isn't Roman? Well, it's the personnel packages. No, it's not, Mike. No, it's not. Because when Calvin Austin got hurt, Scotty Miller went on the field. Scotty Miller hasn't been on the field all season, and he somehow immediately surpassed Roman Wilson. Follow the lines here. The tea leaves are showing. Well, we're going to find out one thing for certain against the Cleveland Browns, and that is how real the problem is. Overreaction or not, the Steelers still win. They still pull this thing off, and I think it's not going to be that difficult for them to do. But no wide receiver outside of DK Metcalf has more than 20 yards in this game.
Oh no, that is not an overreaction at all. I think that is a likely way that the Steelers are going to have to beat the Cleveland Browns is by running the ball in any other direction than where Myles Garrett is, feeding DK Metcalf, and getting Jonnu Smith, maybe Pat Freiermuth in an increased offensive workload, getting those two tight ends the ball more. And I think it would be shocking to me if he speaking of Tomlin, let's call them thin truths, right? Because they're lies. And I think one of the best ones was just like the excitement he shared about Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller moving forward in an expanded role. And I'm like, that's a lie. No one's excited about that. No one can be excited about that.
No,
that's just empirically false. So I don't think any of them are going to really rise to the occasion. I think if they catch a couple of passes, great, but it has to be a firm reliance on DK Metcalf, on your top 2 tight ends, on Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. So not an overreaction at all, buddy.
Love it. Love it. Don't love it, but love it. All right. Number 4 to finish off this 4-pack for you. Joe Flacco's gone. Dylan Gabriel's the starter of the Cleveland Browns. We're almost there, brother. We're getting real close to the Shedeur Sanders experiment in Cleveland. The Steelers aren't going to face him this week. They're going to get Dylan Gabriel. I don't know what to expect. Dylan Gabriel didn't look terrible. Completed over 50% of his passes in his first ever NFL start. They obviously lost. I don't anticipate them winning this week. A lot could happen in the next couple of weeks before the Steelers play them again. But when Pittsburgh travels to the dog pound and they arrive in Cleveland the next time they face the Browns this season, overreaction or not, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to get a Shedeur game this season, and they're going to get to see if they made a mistake, quote unquote, as some fans will tell you, passing on a guy many thought they were going to take in the first round.
That is absolutely not an overreaction. They will get the Shedeur matchup that we are all craving, and they will just eat another rookie quarterback alive. Good luck to Dylan Gabriel as well. Good luck to Shedeur Sanders. The Shedeur dynasty will start in the second meeting, and it will probably end actually pretty quickly, especially when they go against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So
How long do you have the Shedeur dynasty going for in Cleveland once it starts?
A Shillennium? No. I think he could probably, if he takes over after like week 12, I could see them just like riding with him the rest of the year, because like what other options will they have? But I say that all to mean like a handful of games, 3 to 5 games I could see him getting.
3 to 5 games. That's it.
Whoa.
Forever. Yeah, we saw it. We're about to talk about it here in a second. That's all he's getting, 3 to 5 games forever.
Yeah, because he's not good. So I think what'll happen is if he takes over again, let's use that same example. He takes over for the final 5 games for the Cleveland Browns. They enter those 5 games with a losing record already, continue to lose those 5 games. Are you really, as an organization, like thrilled with the progress you've made with your mid-round picks at quarterback to progress the position? I don't think you would be. So I think they quickly move him to the bench again.
And that's it. And then it's shit over. Then it's
shit good night. Yeah.
Shit good night. All right, let's talk about it. It's in the chat right now. The Cleveland Browns. The Baltimore Ravens have jumped in on the AFC North trades. They're starting to sell here. Odafe gone to the Los Angeles Chargers. He joins former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Bud Dupree. Shout out big old Bud Dupree.
Dante Jackson as well, right?
And Dante Jackson. What's your spot? This is on the spot here. You gave a wow 3 seconds ago. We all knew what it was for. Are the Ravens? I'm going to ask it real straightforward. Are the Ravens selling? Are the Ravens giving up right now? Is it over?
This does say, like panic move to me, right? Like is Oweh like injured and I'm not like, is there something going on that I'm missing here with him?
I don't believe so. I don't pay close enough attention to the Baltimore Ravens to say that he is or isn't, but I don't believe he is. Also, who's trading for somebody who's injured? I don't think anybody is at that point.
And they gave up nothing. They gave up a 2026 fifth and a safety name, Aloe Gilman.
Wow, dude, really?
Yeah, I'll do some quick research when we go to our break, and I'll see what is up with this, because this is wild to me. This seems like a fire sale type of, like a team that's like, we're done. Is Lamar like done for the year? Like, what is happening? I don't understand what's going on.
I don't think so. A couple of weeks. I mean, it's a hamstring injury that could linger throughout the season, but I have a hard time thinking Lamar Jackson's going to sit for the rest of the year. Either way, you're trading a former first-round pick that I believe is in his 5th-year option right now.
That's
crazy. For a 5th rounder, you got a 3rd-round pick for George Pickens. How did we get here? They've fallen fast. It gives me big, they are giving up vibes here, that this season is over, and they realize that the group that they have is not great, which is stunning because the group that they had was dominant last year. It was great. The defense, it had some issues. Obviously, it wasn't the classic, like, unstoppable Ravens defense, but it has fallen so quickly and so fast or so steadily that it's a little bit shocking to see where it is right now. And it does very much so give me like, we're overreacting, we're jumping ship vibes. And to do this, that's a stunner. I'm going to be really honest. It's a stunner to say that Odafe's gone and that they've sold him for nothing. A 5th-round pick is absolutely nothing in the NFL. How they did this. Go ahead, you got something.
No, this is the last year of his contract. So maybe there was some sort of like crossroads they hit in terms of any negotiations. So I can only take this to mean, yeah, they just like were just, I think they're just not very confident in where they are right now. He doesn't have any sacks this year through 5 games, but their whole defense is in shambles. So like, who's to say what the exact, who can pinpoint exactly the biggest problem on that defense? I'd argue it was not Odafe Oweh. It was probably Roquan Smith, or the lack of Kyle Hamilton.
Let me ask this question.
Please.
I don't think they do it during the season. I don't. I think there's a respect factor there that, you just abide by it. Is this the end of John Harbaugh in Baltimore?
If they have a losing season like this is starting to look like, I don't know if it's ever really been considered in Baltimore, in his tenure, but yeah, we're getting there. Like I don't know how you have this MVP quarterback. You can't get to the next level with them, but you have one before. Like, I think the blame, whether it's right or wrong, will continue to fall more and more on Harbaugh's shoulders. And I think if this season ends up keep going on this road, it could be bye-bye for him, which is genuinely wild. It'd be the end of an era. But it seems like some seismic things are happening over in Baltimore, which is just blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, I very much so agree. You make this trade, you say this is where it's over. This is where we're starting to sell ship. The only logical next step is John to leave, is for them to say, look, we've hit a point where it's time to make some really drastic changes, and John Harbaugh's got to be. I don't think Baltimore would wait forever. They're not the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's had more success, but and honestly, like, it's the same situation where they should be Super Bowl champions multiple times, or at least competing for it, and they don't even get to the AFC Championship games. They can't even get there. They can't get past the Bills or the Chiefs to say that we are one of those teams. I think it's a real possibility. I think it's a real possibility that we are there. All right, we got to react to this more. But first, we got to take a quick break, hear from our boys over at DraftKings. What's up, AST Nation? I've teamed up with DraftKings. The next great touchdown is coming. You can bet on it. And the best way to do so is through DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers who bet $5 get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. With the bye week behind us, now is the time to get in on the action. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen. Then use your bonus bets to stay in on the action and bet DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. And don't worry, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, you're fine. You can still join in on all of the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. New customers who bet $5 get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Sign up using my promo code ALLSteelers and get in on the action only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All righty. Shout out our boys over at DraftKings. The Baltimore Ravens oh my gosh. Speaking of DraftKings. You want to know what I forgot to do yesterday? And it's over now. Now it's done. Now DraftKings knows.
You didn't take that bet, did you?
I didn't take the bet, dude. I got distracted by things afterwards.
No!
That's money out the door right there. That's money out the door. I'm actually I'm actually upset right now.
I'm upset for you.
Yeah, that sucks. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, yesterday we talked about how according to almost every sports book, the Pittsburgh Steelers were still the second favorites to win the division at plus 140 odds to the Baltimore Ravens, which were minus 110. That's over now. That's over. They've officially cleared out. It's wow. Did you ever think, though, that John Harbaugh would potentially be in the hot seat before Mike Tomlin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I really thought, like, before like Lamar Jackson showed up, you know what I mean? Like, he's been there for so long. Like, the shelf life of an NFL coach is so short nowadays. So it never, like, it's crazy to me that, both Tomlin and Harbaugh have managed to maintain the longevity that they have. So yeah, it's not, I guess for that reason is why it's not such a lengthy leap to be like, well, he might be on the hot seat for this. Cause it's like same reasons why I don't feel like it's like a crazy leap for people to be like, can Mike Tomlin go on the hot seat? Like, it's not true, but it's like, when you're in that position for so long, when will it end conversation, I think, just continues to creep up. So yeah, all that together, I'm just like, yeah, Harbaugh might be out, and it could be completely circumstantial too.
Absolutely nuts. I see your logic there. I think both of them were supposed to go forever. I will say that there is like something about the Steelers have bad rosters and make the playoffs, and you're going, when are the Steelers going to have a good roster? Like, when are you going to be able to do that? Harbaugh's got great rosters and can't do anything with them, and then you're like, okay, it's almost worse. It's not worse. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to defend it. They both stink, but I do think there's a side of the coin that goes, this is just as detrimental as, the other side of it. All right. Let's start answering everybody's questions. If you got them, toss them in the chat. We'll get to as many of them as we can. Shout out to our super chatters. Shout out to our members. Can't thank you guys enough. We're going to start with respect to the Roonies. Tomlin Tuesday. First name he brought up was Wilson for who was going to need to step up this week. Then Scotty, is that a lie or did he let it slip? We both have the same answer. We both have the same answer. Look, everybody wants it to be Roman. Everybody wants it to be Roman. We want it to be Roman. We want to be able to sit here and talk about Roman Wilson and his performance and what he's able to do on a football field. But the Steelers don't have any confidence in Roman Wilson. They don't. They just are. They continue to mention him and continue to mention him and continue to mention him and then continue to do nothing about it. There's got to be a question here, I always want to present a question. What is your snap count for Roman this week? How many snaps do you think he gets? If the Steelers offense gets 45, we'll say 45 snaps, it's a low percentage. They're making big plays. K Metcalf's catching 80-yard touchdowns, whatever. 45 snaps, which I get is a low number. We'll go 50. We'll make it an even 50. 50 snaps. How many does Roman get in this?
Maximum.
Yep.
20. What I would bet on, which I think is a good number. That's like that's a huge jump for the kid, and I think is not unrealistic given the needs that they have and the lack of wide receiver options they have going into this matchup against the Browns. I think what I would put like the over under at would be like 11.5. I think he's.
Yep.
It's likely that they throw him in, whenever they bring out. Just made myself laugh thinking of the Steelers coming out in an empty set.
No chance. There's no chance. And that empty set features 2 tight ends. It's 12 personnel in an empty. That's what they're doing. I think 11.5 is a good number. I think at most he gets 20. I think if I had to guess, Roman gets 15 snaps in this game. I think that's where he sits. And I get it. Nobody wants to hear that, but like, it's the truth of the matter. The Steelers just have no confidence in this guy, and they haven't shown any confidence. They talk about it, but they talk about a lot of things, and then it doesn't turn out to be the case. Chris, Titans released a first-round wide receiver named Treylon Burke. Is he an option? Would you go after Treylon Burke? He's healthy, ready to go. I don't think Treylon Burke adds much to an NFL roster right now. I think he's a practice squad guy that you sign and see if he could turn into anything. But to be honest, I wouldn't be opposed to signing him to a practice squad. I think he's a big physical wide receiver who's never had a good quarterback. Maybe, just maybe. And he's had moments. Let's be honest. Treylon Burke's never been great, but he's definitely had moments of like, Treylon Burke's okay. He's all right. I think he's a guy I'd give a shot on a practice squad too and say, can he work out? Can he prove something? And worst case scenario, he spends the year on your practice squad and you see if you could bring him back for a futures deal like you did Anthony Miller a couple of years ago. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but he's not going to sign to their active roster.
Oh, dear Lord, no. And that would be a mistake too, because then you already have Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson. Like, you just need to just sign Noah Strackbine too. Throw him. He'll play for cheap, and if you just want to throw bodies on the field, just throw bodies on the field. It doesn't really matter. You have Isaiah Hodgins sitting down there too. You have Keyshawn Williams sitting on the practice squad. Like, it might as well just elevate one of them for this game too. If you're going to do nothing, then just do nothing. But if you're going to add a player, please make it an impact player.
I agree. I don't think that's and I don't expect them right now to add a player. I think Monday morning we have a conversation of if they need to add a player. But I think Omar and Mike are going to have that same conversation. They are going to sit there Monday morning in their office and go, all right, yeah, we got to do this. Or it's, dude, can't believe Scotty Miller had 75 yards and a touchdown. What the hell just happened? And whatever one of those two it is, the table will turn that way. Chris has another one. Any losing teams have an offensive lineman we should trade for? Okay, so in the conversation of an offensive lineman, I'll say this. I am significantly, I would say if my confidence level that the Steelers would trade for a wide receiver is 50% right now, it's 3% for an offensive lineman at most. And I don't think they're even looking. I think that they like Spencer Anderson packages and what Darnell brings in the same kind of concept. If there is somebody that's losing, again, like Jackson Powers Johnson was a name that was brought up to us like a week ago now, and I like that name a lot for a potential move. But I don't think that there's anybody out there that the Steelers would look at to trade for to become a starter in Pittsburgh this season.
Yeah, you're right, and it stinks because I want you to be wrong really bad.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would love, I was like looking after I saw Chris's question here, I was looking through like, it'd be great if you could go to like the Tennessee Titans and be like, you hate any of these guys on your offensive line yet? Like, is there anyone who we can maybe take and mold like a Jackson Powers Johnson? Like, are there any young players
available?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is JC Latham or like Peter Scarron or Scarron, whatever his name is?
Yeah.
Or maybe is that Ben's son? I don't know his last name.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be so cool. But like, can you go, poach a quality player from a losing team? That'd be great if they could do that with the Tennessee Titans or the New Orleans Saints or the New York Giants or something as they're floundering. Andrew Thomas is a name that we've talked about several times whenever he's healthy, being someone who like maybe could plug and play in some games. But like the fact of the matter is that Noah's bang on here. The Steelers have no interest. The big move that would happen is, Dylan Cook being elevated, his, Andrews Pete being inserted into the starting lineup somewhere once Mike Tomlin remembers his name. Like, those are the big moves that we have, remaining to see and remaining to hope for and watch out for. It's not a trade for JC Latham. You know what I mean? Like that. I wish it could be, because that would be an epically big swing that might actually be a championship move rather than going out to get another Scotty Miller or another, a Traylon Burks or something like that. So Chris, I want you to be right. I want Noah to be wrong. Unfortunately, it's just not what's going on.
It's not happening. Macaroni Salad member for 8 months. My guy, one of the OGs. Thank you so much. Who will return punts with Austin likely out? My guess is Scotty Miller. Roman might get an opportunity back there, but Scotty's got a lot of experience returning punts. I would guess he's the guy that they put back there. If not, Roman, I think that's it. Like, I think there's a 0% chance they're putting Caleb back there. A 0% chance they're putting Trey Sermon back there, which I think it's hilarious. I don't know if anybody else has caught on to this, that the Pittsburgh Steelers decided that they were going to elevate Trey Sermon for 2 games just to replace Caleb Johnson as a kick returner, because they don't have other kick return options. Like, I don't know, Roman Wilson or Scotty Miller or Jalen Warren. Like, they were just like, you want to know what we should do? We should actually call up another running back who isn't good at this, and we should just put him back there and see what happens. But my guess is Scotty Miller. Again, like, they're going to say Roman. They've said Roman a number. Mike Tomlin's first name out of his mouth in the summer during training camp when he was asked about who could be the kick returner this season was Roman Wilson. It's just not the case. My guess is Scotty Miller.
Yeah, here's just like a wild card name I'd throw out is, why not elevate someone like Keyshawn Williams or something for just to see if there's anything there, if there's any juice to squeeze out of that rookie. He's shifty, he's fast. They certainly had him working with the punt returning units, in training camp in the preseason to see what was there. So
yeah,
if you're gonna try to look for a complete change of pace and something unexpected, there's an option you can turn to that is unknown and might provide a spark.
I very much so agree. I would love Keyshawn Williams. I think it'd be a blast to see him get called up and check that one out. You get 4 games. You don't need Trey Sermon this week. If you have Caleb Johnson, Jaylen Warren, and Kenneth Gainwell all available and probably going to actually play with Caleb Johnson, I'd give Keyshawn Williams a shot. I think it'd be a blast to watch him, see what he could do. Respect to the Rooney's member for 8 months. Another OG. Appreciate you so much. We have to watch two old men behind bad O-line square off next Thursday. I'd rather have Rodgers. Flacco gets hit too many times and will need a Walker. It might be the truth. The only thing that works in the Steelers' favor here is the fact that they both do have bad offensive lines, but at least the Cincinnati Bengals don't have anybody except for Trey Hendrickson to actually get through them. So if you can't block the Cincinnati Bengals defensive line outside of Trey Hendrickson, you're pretty bad at your job. And if I had to take a guess at who's getting hit more, it's Joe Flacco. How scared do you, like, could you imagine getting the call of Joe Flacco? Be like, hey, you got traded. Oh, where? Cincinnati. What? The team that just got Joe Burrow murdered? I'm 40 years old. Where, like, do you think I'm going to do well here? Do you think I'm the answer to this solution? No, it's not the case whatsoever. You could have went out and got anybody who's young and could run, and instead you went out and got a 40-year-old who doesn't run at all ever. That's going to work out. Shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals, man.
You know who would be a great fit for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Who?
Mason Rudolph. Like, I don't understand why the Bengals, like, if they wanted someone close that, like, would have actually given them a shot, which is clearly not what they're trying to do. You don't bring in Joe Flacco to, like, make a playoff run. But, like, if they're willing to make an in-division trade, I don't understand why they wouldn't have at least called. Maybe they did, but why wouldn't you have at least like, he can sling it, plenty of receivers to throw the ball to. He'd get hit a ton. Joe Flacco is going to get hit so much in that week 7 matchup. It's gonna be fun and gross and violent, but it's gonna be fun. And I would rather take Aaron Rodgers for sure. Mobility is certainly not going to be a strength of either of those quarterbacks in that matchup. We can agree on that, but I think it'll probably be Aaron Rodgers who stays up a little bit more.
Yeah, I very much so agree. Mikey Brown here. When do you see the Steelers making a wide receiver move? Muth and a third for A.J. Brown. I see the Steelers, if they are going to make a wide receiver move, making one at the beginning of next week, Monday or Tuesday. I think that's when, if it's going to happen, they will get a clear answer from this game to say, yeah, we have to make something happen immediately. We have to make a trade happen right now. If that ends up being the case, I think they make a move then. Okay, so here's the killer of AJ Brown, unfortunately. It would be awesome. I would consider Muth and a third for AJ Brown. I only say that because I think the Steelers are phasing out Pat Freiermuth right now, and I'm not a fan of it, but I think that's what's happening. AJ Brown, if he leaves, has like a $96 million dead hit to Philadelphia, which means they're not even going to answer the phone to somebody calling for an AJ Brown trade, which stinks because it'd be fun, but it's just not going to happen. I don't think at any point he would get traded. That being said, if they were to say yes, Muth and a third. Yeah, no, maybe.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I thought you were lagging.
Muth and a third?
I would, of course, take that. Yes, I absolutely would. Yeah, screw the money parts of it. And so sorry. Again, I was like, yeah, I'm waiting. I'm just take your time, Noah. This is, we're all here for you, buddy. Take your time.
I was just like, it's your answer, huh? This is an audio podcast as well, just in case.
This is an audio medium, folks, and I do apologize for failing to provide my half of that medium. Yeah, I think money aside, I would take that deal any day, 7 days out of the week. Yeah, me too, Nate. I thought the same thing. I was sitting there like, huh?
I said it fast. I'm a quick. Everybody tells me to talk faster. I spoke faster. It didn't work. Nate needs more salad. Flacco has one team left to complete the AFC North. And again, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, the day before he retires, I'm signing him to a 1-year deal because why would you not? You know what I mean? Why would you? Why not? Why not just have a fun time and say, let's do it. Let's complete the cycle here. I'd sign him to it. Shout out to Joe Flacco, man.
You got to do it.
You got to do it. Hollywood 931. Why not Dante Kent as a punt returner? He'd have to be activated off of IR, which could happen. I don't know. So far, I don't know if he didn't technically practice, I guess, on Monday. I don't know what he was doing off to the side. I wasn't paying much attention. I was focused on Joey Porter and Jalen and Calvin and those guys. If he were to return to practice, he'd have to be activated by Saturday afternoon and then play on Sunday. I'd say the likelihood of that is really small. I don't rule it out in a week or two for it to happen, especially with Jalen being hurt. However, I don't think it's very likely that Dante Kent would be the guy just because of the injury and them actually bringing him back. Do you expect Dante to return from IR?
I don't. I don't expect him to return from IR, and not because from everything I've seen from him, when I'm down the south side, like he seems like he's progressing nicely, but I just don't think there is a need for a rookie to be thrust into a greater role right now, especially one with a 7th round pedigree behind him. It's not like it's Derek Harmon where the shape of the defensive line sort of depends on his availability. Like Dante Kent's a promising player. I think they really like what the potential that they have in him, but I don't think that they see him as someone who can come in, practice for a week and then play against an AFC North opponent and be trusted to make an impact, or just really the key element there is like the lack of trust. I think Mike Tomlin wants to see him more in practice and wants to see him, in those sort of more competitive reps before sort of giving him a larger role on the field.
I think he's going to, if he does return from IR, he'll utilize all 3 of his weeks before the Steelers actually make a decision on him. All 21 of those days will go by before the Steelers say you are welcome back or not. I'm not saying that they don't want him back. There's a reason that they kept him and put him on IR, but it's going to be a matter of do they need him or not in those 21 days? And I think that will decide it more than him actually being healthy or competent, because he'd be a body. How good of a body? I don't know. That's up for debate. Maddie, last day as a member. No, it's not. We'll hook you up. What is the one thing we utilize? What is the one thing we utilized more in our game against the Vikings? I mean, that answer is easy. The use of big personnel, like actual big personnel. Spencer Anderson, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward, having those guys out there to say, let's run the football and you can't stop us is massive. Shout out to Spencer Anderson, because we could talk Darnell all day long. Spencer Anderson proved against the Minnesota Vikings, who have a good defense, that he is an asset to this team. And to have that 6th lineman who's versatile and could be used everywhere like they used him, I think is huge. Shout out to Spencer Anderson. But that is the one thing for sure that they utilized more.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And I'm not sure if that alone is what they need to continue to utilize more to keep moving this offense, but I do think that there's going to be a lot more to use Mike Tomlin's words, there's going to be a lot more 4-3 matchups here in the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule. So I think they now know that they have this advantage at their disposal. How do they then combat the other parts of the offense that are still trying to keep up and catch up with the offense? So yeah, I think the going heavy was a great adjustment, and I'm curious to see what adjustments they now make going up against the Cleveland Browns.
Yes, very excited. Daniel, did they say exactly what is wrong with Calvin Austin's shoulder? No, we don't know. Calvin Austin wouldn't address it, which I didn't expect him to the other day. Mike Tomlin's not going to ever give that information up. Not totally sure. The fact that x-rays were negative means that they were probably looking at a broken bone or a dislocation of some sort, and it came back everything good, which means that it's probably some sort of ligament or joint that's hurting, which is also not great. But I don't know exactly what it is. Right now, I could just tell you that he looks like he's in a pretty good chunk of pain. Breezy, Highsmith, and a 5th for Chris Olave. I'd go 5th for Chris Olave. I don't think I'm giving up Highsmith. I don't even think Highsmith for Olave straight up I'd do. I think I'd feel the Steelers lost that trade as well.
For sure. I agree with that. I would say the Saints would have to give a nice draft pick in addition to Chris Olave to pry Alex Highsmith away from them. Not that I'm solely against the idea or wholly against the idea of trading Alex Highsmith. It just you cannot. Chris Olave is not the the needle mover in return that I would want.
Yeah, I very much so agree. I just don't. I'm not opposed to the situation. I just like it's got to be a splash. Highsmith's a stud. He's a starter on 32 teams, and I like a good starter on 32 teams, and I think you have to get that back in return. All right, we're gonna finish it off with Pittsburgh Hornets here. Overreaction. Both the Penguins and Steelers have their new players score their first points tonight. First off, you excited for good old hockey season?
Yes.
And who's the new guy on the Penguins? I'm not a hockey guy.
Well, that's okay. No, that's why I'm here in a lot of ways. I mean, lots of new guys for the Penguins this year. Let's be perfectly honest. And apologies if you hear my sweet Loretta above me barking at anyone who passes by our house at any point. She is the guard dog, and she is 27 pounds of pure aggression, and she will rough you up. The Penguins have a couple of 18-year-olds or teenagers, one 18-year-old, one 19-year-old in the lineup tonight. And I think that's going to be a huge test. I'm excited to see them get a couple of games. We'll probably head back to juniors afterwards. This is a bit of NHL fun contractual tryouts, let's call it, to get young players acclimated to the game and then send them back to their junior teams. So excited for that. Excited to see hopefully one of them contribute a point. And then I think some new players continue to add points in the Steelers side whenever they go up against the Cleveland Browns. So yeah, I'm pumped for hockey season, man. I can go on forever about it, but since this is a Steelers show, I will muzzle myself a bit.
I'm excited to have hockey on and not know what I'm watching, but having a good time. You know what I mean? I'm all about a good time when it comes to hockey season. We will finish off with this one because I'm not sure if I missed it a bunch of times, but I want to make sure we answer it. Amy here, our Army Ranger, excuse me. Last try. What about Muth and Roman to the Jets for Wilson and Ola Fashanu? I mean, if the Jets took that would be awesome. Aaron would be pissed that they got Garrett Wilson. They cannot stand each other, from my understanding. But Fashanu would be a stud. I mean, I would say yes if the Jets offered this to the Steelers. The Jets would not offer this to the Steelers. They would laugh in the Steelers' face at this offer. However, this would be awesome, and it would work very well for the Steelers and everybody involved, except for, once again, Aaron Rodgers, who would be pissed because,
yeah. And the Jets lose terribly in this trade. Not that I'm trying to help out the New York Jets, but like, wow, they just get creamed by that trade offer.
Yeah. And you don't want to ruin the Jets season. That would stink, man. It's going so well. It's going so well. Shout out to them. All right, guys, with that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. With that said, we'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg.